Hey everyone, happy Sunday. I just picked up my new 50-1.2 for my Canon mirrorless system, the Canon R. And so far in preliminary testing on my dog Richard, it is quite an incredible lens. Also a bit of a learning curve. As a Nikon shooter, I've never been able to do this. And also, I guess maybe the struggle with photographing my dog and not a human being is that the eye detect really doesn't work with animals. It's more of a human thing. So excited to give that a little bit of a test run at today's wedding. I'm going to kind of wean it in slowly. So today I'll use it for a couple of the getting ready shots, maybe some details, but I'm going to overshoot everything with my actual Nikon equipment. I think that I like the camera that I've been using for at least the past couple of years, my progression of cameras, I guess we'll kind of go back. So today I'm going to talk about the D850 and why I actually love it as my main camera body, and that the Canon R, while I love it and it's going to be like a great travel camera, it really does stress me out that there is only one memory card in there. I believe that the workaround would be, at least the workaround that I would be comfortable with, is to get one of those little card, like portable hard drive boxes that you put the card in and it just like copies, it just downloads the card to that like little black box. If I was shooting one single card all day, I feel like every hour, maybe every half hour, whenever I have an opportunity, I would be putting that card in there to download everything. I think that would be the most reasonable workaround for operating on one card that would make me comfortable. I know that in the past, so I began for like a long time just photographing with cameras that had one single card, and that one single card is it never really stressed me out because that was the only option at the time. So I started, I would say the first camera that I was using to shoot weddings was like I would say a D300 and or a D90 around that era. And again, like only one card, D90 I believe was an SD card, D300 I believe was a CF card, and I was okay with that. I felt a lot better shooting with a CF card because of the way that it's substantial in nature, which is one of the reasons why I love the D850, because it has an XQD card, which is, if you haven't seen them, they're kind of like, I would say half the size as far as like width goes as a CF card, but a little bit thicker. And it feels like in my hand, in my camera, it feels like it's a card that if like, I don't know, I dropped it or if it got kicked or if I lost it for whatever reason, that the memory would stay on it. Whereas an SD card, I'm a little bit more nervous about as a physical object. As I talked about a couple of days ago in the podcast, I'm actually going to order one. I said I was going to order one now, on the last podcast, but I never actually did. The Sony, the tough version of their SD cards. I'm going to get one of those and see if the ruggedness of it actually makes me feel a little bit better using a CF card or using a SD card. Sorry. We'll see how that goes. So the number one reason, and the reason that the Canon R can't replace what I do on a wedding day, is primarily because I shoot hybrid coverage, which is photo and video coverage at a wedding. So if I'm out there and I'm doing photography coverage, I'm also shooting video clips. And when I get home, I put together a highlight film for the couple. It's usually between, I would say, 3 minutes to 5 minutes, never more than 5 minutes, because that gets into, I would say, like feature length documentary style coverage. Also by shooting something that's longer than a highlight, just set to music or set to music and a little bit of audio, you really ramp up your post-production time. That when I get home, I do everything efficiently, or as efficiently as possible. I would say that I will shoot maybe, I would say like 20 minutes of usable video clips in a wedding day. And it's very easy to take 20 minutes and knock that down to 2 minutes. Maybe even 20 minutes is high. I'll do a count the next time that I shoot a highlight, and I'll actually kind of at least give proper parameters on that. But I'm going to say somewhere between 15 to 25 minutes of actual video footage. And then I knocked that down to 2 minutes. And that is a great highlight film. And the thing that the D850 does for me is essentially with that XQD card that I talked about, you can switch between photo and video mode lightning quickly. You do have to hit the live view button, which makes the mirror come up. So there is like, I would say a half second, maybe a full second delay. But with the Canon R, which I am starting to love now, unfortunately that delay, if you shoot like 5 raw files and try to switch to video mode, it takes a lot longer to write to the card. And I'm using, what is the Sony G series that has the 300 megabyte write speed and I guess a 299 megabyte write speed. and a 300 megabyte read speed. It's funny that they couldn't just go 300 and 300. So it isn't really the cards in most of the cameras. So that is the reason that I am personally sticking with the Nikon D850 for the foreseeable future. I would say like the big game changer for me, and actually like really amping up how well I could make highlight films, was the D5. So the D750, you can definitely do hybrid coverage. You have to do it in a different way where usually I'd be shooting the video clip first, and then I would flip back to photos because videos are a lot smaller to write to the card. Flipping to photo mode and doing the photos afterwards basically was the workaround to dealing with a camera that didn't really have fantastic buffer speed. Once the D5 came out, it was very, very fast. I had a D5 with 2 dual XQD cards in it. And the speed that comes out of that camera is like, it's a sports camera. It's meant to just dump the buffer and just like keep shooting a lot. And then accidentally, they also made it amazing for hybrid video coverage. So I used that for a couple of years. And then I moved to the Nikon D850 when it came out. 1, because of the form factor and the size, and 2, because of the flip screen. So when you're doing video, as a photographer, I don't really care to have a flip screen. It doesn't really matter. But as a video creator, to have a tilt screen, like even if you can just kind of face it just up at you a little bit and have it like resting against your chest, it does come in handy quite a lot. Specifically for seeing if you can focus or if things are in focus, because the Nikon, the autofocus in video mode is complete garbage. Don't use it. So I'm doing everything in manual mode. And that's kind of the way that I see it the easiest. So when I got my D850, the reason that I got it was essentially because I wanted to test it out. I wanted to see if it was going to replace the D5 or if it was going to just become my second body. And I realized pretty quickly that I like shooting with it a lot better because of the screen that flips up. So for photos, for detail photos, this is actually really helpful as well. I'll pretty much shoot, I would say, live view probably almost like 70% of the time when I'm doing detail photos, because I really do want to have specific control over my depth of field, and I want to see exactly the image that it's creating. So that's kind of how I shoot that. I've started shooting people a little bit more like that as well. Whereas if I'm setting something up like very specific, if I'm using a tilt shift, usually I'm on live view mode because it's a heck of a lot easier. And also I kind of like the idea of changing the perspective and the height of the camera every now and then, and to shoot kind of from not necessarily the hip, but somewhere like around your chest. It does give you a different perspective. It makes lines look a little bit differently, and gives you some different options. So I do like to kind of play around with both of those. The other reasons that I really love the D850 is like because I've never really found the upper limit of the ISO range that I'm able to just like infinitely increase it until like, I guess what's completely unreasonable, that if you're at 8,000 ISO, I shoot primes pretty much every wedding reception, which is when I find myself in darker situations. If I am shooting in a darker situation, like 8,000 ISO is usually more than enough to even like a candlelit room. That's like a very, very dimly lit room. If I'm shooting that, probably even around like 6,400 with a 1.4 lens, that can create beautiful images. And then shooting at 6,400 ISO still gives you some dynamic range and some leverage in post-production. And I haven't really, with other cameras, I've kind of found the limit where you really do have to switch from color images because the grain gets a little too much if you have to bump it in post. And I've never found that in a Nikon D850. So it's an incredible sensor. The reason that I specifically like full frame cameras is because of the depth of field and the fact that I can shoot at 1.4 or I guess 1.2 now on this Canon R. And I can do that in a way that I think just looks the most pleasing to the eye. I guess I'm a big advocate in just really shooting that shallow depth of field. It does help out a lot in wedding photography because you can't really control what situations you find yourself in a lot of the time. So if you walk into like a guy's getting ready room and there's just like stuff everywhere and there's like 15 guys trying to get ready in like a 1-bedroom hotel room, at that point, being able to shoot at 35, even like 1.8, 1.4 can make a lot of the background disappear. I find myself on my 85 a lot to kind of do that so that the floor is never really in it because floors, like in getting ready coverage, are always really messy, and it's just easier to go in with an 85 on a full frame body like the D850 and do it like your photography coverage from there. The other thing that I'm always super conscious of is that because they do open the gallery to the getting ready section of the day, I want those images to just be like the best possible images, I guess, of that section of the day. I don't want them to start off and be like, uh-oh, like, what's the rest of the gallery going to look like? I want them to open them up and be like, wow, that looks amazing. And I guess like one of the tricks, I guess, is just by shooting at 1.8, things just look a lot better and a lot more professional. Even if like you're master at compositions and everything, if you're shooting at like f4, f8, it really does. It's a lot harder to get a lot of usable photos. So maybe if you're only delivering like 5 or 6 photos from getting ready and you can make them like perfect, maybe it is a little bit easier to shoot like that. But I find that the way that I shoot, like kind of documentary style most of the day, shooting with an 85 really does give me the ability to kind of blur out anything that I do not need in the background. The last thing I'm going to talk about when it comes to the D850 is the button layout. So I was using an Nikon D750 for a little while, and I absolutely hate the button layout because the quality button is right beside I forget if it's ISO or white balance. Either way, you're using a button that is right beside the button that if you accidentally hit it and scroll over a little bit, that you're changing from like RAW files to JPEG files. And that always terrified me. So I'm happy with the D850 that the quality button is up top on the body. It's still beside the white balance, but it's like a little more impossible to hit it, I would say. And then also you're not going to hit that accidentally and be accidentally like scrolling the wheel. Also, I really love, a lot of the camera manufacturers are finally doing this, but they're putting the ISO button in the right spot, just like right in front of the shutter. So you're able to kind of like organically, the most natural way possible, bump from like your shutter button to the ISO button and make your adjustments and go back. I also like the size of it. I know that, a lot of people are switching to mirrorless to save the size. That's never really been a concern of mine, and I guess maybe that's one of the reasons that I'm cool with using the Canon R, which is essentially the same size as my digital SLR. I like to have something substantial if I'm using it for the entire day. So typically if I'm out at a wedding, I'm pretty much doing stuff with the exception of maybe the hour that we sit down for dinner. I have that camera in my hand and I'm creating images and doing all kinds of different things with my camera all day. So I have no problems. I had no problem having my D5, that was like a really good feeling camera to be able to carry around all day. And just like the substantialness of it, that it really does almost give you more confidence in your photography. If that makes any sense at all to you, that if you've ever just like used like a really good feeling large camera, I do like that a lot. I don't love shooting my 7200 all the time because while it is substantial, it's a lot more front heavy and a little bit weird. So I prefer having like a substantial camera body and a smaller lens rather than a big lens and a smaller camera body. So something to think about. I know that it completely, like, this is just all subjective, I guess, on that end of things, but there are a lot of good reasons to get a D850, and I don't believe that right now, like, that there is any reason to not get one, or if you do have one, to sell your entire kit and go for like a Canon R or any of the other mirrorless bodies. I just find it the most functional and practical out in the field, as well as the fastest for me, specifically for hybrid coverage, flipping from photo to video really quickly. It is like the #1 camera in the world for that right now. So if you are interested in creating photo and video really quickly, it is the camera for you, or at least one to look pretty seriously at. That is all for today. I've actually just finished my new course as of this morning. And my new course is Book More Weddings 2019. And basically the way that this is going to come out is I'm going to be releasing it either Wednesday or Thursday of this week. And on Wednesday or Thursday, it's going to be out until either Cyber Monday or maybe the Tuesday afterwards. And then after that, sales are going to be closed until January 1st, because it's Book More Weddings is always the course that I drop on January 1st. So I will be putting it out a little bit early this year, just for a couple of days. So if you want to pick it up, maybe set a calendar reminder for Thursday morning. I'll have a link in my bio, or you can just go to I don't want to give the link out yet because it's a test page still, but just head over to my Instagram or Instagram story specifically, and on that day you'll be able to swipe up and get that course if you want. It comes with a lot of stuff. It is like the most overvalued, like medium purchase, I guess you could make in wedding photography. The price is $179, but it comes with like my full course on how to make a highlight film with photography equipment that you already have. So that's kind of the bridge into being able to do hybrid coverage like I've been talking about, as well as it has an on-camera video of me doing both photo and video as well, which is also, I would say, super beneficial if you are thinking about doing video. So those are my thoughts. And then, like, I don't know, it just comes with so many other things. You're going to be impressed with the amount of content that you're just going to get, like 11, 12 hours of just like photography content in this, where the main course is only like an hour and 45 minutes, I think. Everything else it comes with is really, really substantial. So get excited for that. It also comes with some on-camera videos, and it also comes with a bonus. You can either get my advanced wedding photography course with it, or my how to travel and make money with your travel and landscape photography course, which are also very highly valued if you do not yet have those courses. So exciting things coming later this week. Check back then, set a calendar reminder to come check out the Instagram story and get that if you're interested. Otherwise, keep listening to the podcast. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. See you tomorrow.